Hood slide. Oh, shoot. Hey, how's it going? It runs. It runs. Hopefully I just didn't dent the hood. I don't want to ruin the perfect paint job, you know what I'm saying? It's gross. But hello, welcome to the channel. I've never properly introduced myself. I can't see if I'm even in frame. My name is Chris. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm just kidding. So in all seriousness, my name is Chris. I got a comment from somebody. I can't remember exactly what they said, but they're like, hey, the production value of this channel, I would assume it would have more subscribers. Well, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that. But I actually do video production, YouTubering for a living. I do it full time. I have another YouTube channel and I'm a part of a lot of other YouTube channels. But so with that said, thank you so much. I appreciate the feedback. But also what I realized I haven't done is really explained the car itself. I mean, even during this whole process, I have learned more about the car and it's kind of a rare version. Doesn't mean it's worth as much as you would think from a rare car, but it's less common than you would think. And we'll dive into that in just a second. Ironically, I'm using my phone instead of my main camera after I just started talking about how good my production value is. But you know, I was lazy today. So in the last video, I teased a shouting match with the mechanic. Here's the thing, as professional as I am, I wasn't so professional. I lost the footage. It never happens, I swear, it never happens. This is the first time, as the classic line goes. But really, recently, a few weeks ago, I was organizing all the files from my phone on the computer, going through the folders and doing some things. And in that process, I accidentally deleted that footage. So if you didn't see that video of me teasing this, here's the latest update. Okay, here's the gas tank. So if you remember in the last video, I had the gas tank completely replaced. They thought that was probably why the car wouldn't start, which funny enough, it wasn't. But it probably would have caused a problem in the long run because there was apparently water and sediment in my tank and it was rusty. Knowing their reputation and how they treated me, who knows if that was even true, but they replaced the tank and the total cost to have the tank put in with the labor and the part cost was like $300-400, something like that. If I can find the original receipt, I'll put it on the screen. But that's the total cost to get this replaced and installed. And in doing so, I had them put in a new fuel pump and fuel filter just to make it all brand new. Now, a month or so later, I happened to notice something. And you can actually see it in the original footage of me when I go pick up the car. But I didn't notice it because I assumed they filled the tank up for me. Figured that was a nice courtesy after how much money I spent at their shop. It was $3,000, by the way. But that's not what happened at all. So you can see here where I'm trying to start it, it says full. I was driving it around for a while and I was sputtering, causing some issues. It was like dying. I was getting it started again. I happened to be near my parents' house in town and I limped it there and it died in the driveway. And I thought, well, maybe it's out of gas. It wasn't. It still said full. And I hadn't noticed that before. And I've been driving around for quite a while. So I put in 5 gallons that my dad had at the house and it started right up. I drove it around, everything was fine. I went to the gas station and I was able to completely fill the tank and it still said full. I'm like, this is super weird. What the freak is going on? And then I remembered I had them replace the fuel tank and fuel pump and all that. And I wonder if they didn't connect something. So I took it back to the mechanic. It's like, yo, the fuel gauge isn't working. And like, they'll diagnose it for me. And well, I gotta tell you, what they came back with just freaking pissed me off so much. Things I do for a video. And what they said was that the indicator, I think it was called, the flow adjuster, whatever it's called, in the tank is broken, needs to be replaced. Didn't I pay them to do that already? They said no. And if they could happily do it for me, they quoted me $950. But here's the thing, they replaced the gas tank with a brand new one, remember? Well, probably a used one from a junkyard, it's probably not brand new. But they replaced the gas tank and did the labor for more than half of that price. And they were charging nearly $1,000 to have this done. And it just really made me mad. And so I told them, absolutely not. That's not okay, that I'm coming down, I'm just gonna pick the car up and I'm out of there. So I needed a ride to go and pick the car up because it had been at the mechanic. And so my dad went with me. Well, my dad was in a particular mood that day. He wanted to go in. This is where I recorded the whole thing. It started out calm. My dad wasn't really yelling, but he gave them what for. Stern, to the point, saying, you guys effed up you need to fix this. And both of us really suggested, me, was willing to pay for the part. If it's broken, so be it. That's not on them. I'll replace the part, but I shouldn't have to pay for the labor because that's something that should have been addressed when they were in there in the first place. They were telling me no, then the mechanic walked in and things got weird. If you remember in the last episode, he was pretty blunt. I swear he was gonna push my clutch through the floorboards.
You're not gonna get it started that way.
Well, he came in and he let me have it. He told me I was an idiot for putting money into this car, that it wasn't worth it, and if it were him, he would have just took it to the junkyard or sold it off for parts. Something to that effect. And by the end of things, where they screwed up, which is obviously the part itself, was this. The mechanic said it was in fact broken and that he fixed it himself and got it working again and didn't tell me and didn't put it in the paperwork. The sales guy said, we will fix it, but you can never come back to this establishment. Well, no, his exact quote was, I want to get this right, this car, just this car, could never come back to the shop ever again, but they would fix it for free. And so I left the car there. The next day, they called me and said, your car is ready for pickup, which is crazy because if you remember from the last video, it took them almost 6 months to get me the car back the first time. They did it in one day. They really wanted this car out of their shop and not having to deal with me anymore, apparently. But funny enough, when they gave me the keys back, they actually gave me keys to a different car. It was to a more classic car. I can't remember what it was, an Impala of some kind that was sitting out there. And I said, hey, these aren't the right keys. And they're like, oh, gosh, I wish I could remember what he said. Very passive aggressive, implying that it was a nicer car, more expensive car, and just all around better, and this is a piece of shit car. I really wish I had the original footage of that entire encounter. I've searched everywhere for it. That's why I haven't released a video in a few weeks, because I was really trying to hopefully find this footage to be able to put it into this video for you, but fortunately it's gone. So when I got the car back, mind you, it was later in the year, it was like September, October. Well, I parked this thing for months because I wasn't going to drive this in the winter time. And when I started driving it in the spring, I noticed an issue. Again, this would have been 6 months later after I got the car back. I noticed when I fill up my tank, I could only put in about 8 gallons. And this should be a 15-gallon tank. So I had to run my own little test to figure out if they put in a smaller tank, then it should be in here. Found out, no, that's totally not the case. So when I fill up the car, it only goes to 3/4 on the gas gauge in the car. They didn't adjust the float correctly. So when I get to empty, I gotta remember there's still like 4 or 5 gallons left. So I have to use my trip meter on my car and hope that doesn't go out, which they are very well known to go out on these cars. And I actually will be doing a video on that, on fixing it, that is. But I have to just gauge that and know that about 240 miles, 250 miles, I should probably stop and hit a gas station because it's pretty much on empty at that point. And so if you haven't been able to tell by now, the stuff that you've been seeing recently on the channel is actually stuff from the past. Literally a couple of years ago, I started filming this project and I've just now been releasing it because I didn't know what I was even gonna do with this stuff because I've got other YouTube channels like I was saying. So I just know I wanted to document this process of restoring my grandfather's car. This thing means a lot to me. It's really cool and there's no monetary value that I can put on it. Is it the best? No. Is it the nicest? No. Does it have a lot of horsepower? Absolutely not. But sentimental value, the fact that it's stayed in the family, second owner, technically I guess if you want to call it, it's a one family owned car. Bought brand new in 1989. I think it's just so cool. And I was like 5 years old. I sat in the back seat of this thing. I just think it's a fun little story. But I didn't know where I was gonna put the footage or what I was gonna do with it. I didn't even know I was gonna start a brand new YouTube channel because, like I said, I have another YouTube channel, but it doesn't really fit over there. I do a lot of photography stuff over there with like instant photography, like Polaroid and Instax, all that stuff doesn't really fit. But I think I might incorporate a little bit of my photography stuff on the channel. I think it'd be kind of fun to go to car shows and meets, take some photos of cars. I think you guys might enjoy it. So we'll see what comes to this. But for now, I got a lot of content coming on this car that I've already shot that needs to get put up. But I mean, you're pretty much caught up now in the chronological order from the start of getting it running, just on the road and drivable. There's a lot of cool little ins and outs that I've done in between then that I'm just gonna put out as we go. I didn't want to release all that stuff because it just felt like it wouldn't make sense if all of a sudden the story leads off of I dropped it off at the mechanic and then randomly I start talking about the T-tops. Doesn't make any sense. So let's leave off with what type of car this even is. It's a Firebird, yes, but it's just that. It's a base level Firebird, 1989 Pontiac Firebird. But what makes it unique is the fact that it is a base model Firebird. You typically just see formulas or Trans Ams. You don't see a Firebird. I went on Google image search to find this car, this model. Couldn't find it. Just a picture of one. I see everything else. I challenge you, do a Google search for this car. It's tough to find. But what also makes this unique is it is a manual transmission. It's a 5-speed. You could only get this if it was special ordered. And my grandpa didn't special order it. He just got lucky that someone had special ordered it and didn't come pick it up. And there's a funny story there too, which I'll get into in another video. But it's a base V6 2.8 liter engine. Blazing speed. Not really. I think it's like 150 horsepower or something. I don't know. It's not fast, but it is sure fun to drive. So I guess that's where I'm going to leave you for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.